without authority. And we are honored to have with us here Professor Sata Bawani, CEO of the Disruptive Leadership Institute and the author of Leadership in Disruptive Times. And he will be sharing with us some effective tips on the various techniques to influence your peers and teams. So after his sharing session, we'll have a short Q&A to address any questions that you may have. So before I hand over the time to Professor Bawani, I'll give a short sharing on our BFSU membership. Okay, so we are the Banking and Financial Services Union. I believe all of you will know, as all of you are actually the BFSU member. So apart from this exclusive event today, some of you may wonder, like, what are the other benefits that you can get from being a member of BFSU? So I'll explain more in the next few slides. Okay, so for BFSU, we represent the interests of all workers, and we focus on 4 P's: protection, progression, privileges, and placement. So we actually will assist you on professional advice on workplace issues. So you can look for us when you face cases like retrenchment, you need help for job search, bridging of contract, or you face issues such as unfair termination. So under BFSU membership, you also get an exclusive gift insurance to cover you against death and total permanent disability of up to 40,000. And we also have a free legal clinic for you to consult as well. So for progression, you will get up to $250 subsidy when you upgrade and upskill with like our partners such as PSB Academy, NTUC Learning Hub, and also CPA Australia. So this is similar to Skills Future, but this one will you actually renew every calendar year. So for privileges, for all of you, you can actually download this NTUC app to keep yourself updated with all the new updated privileges because it will actually update very frequently. So apart from all whatever I've mentioned earlier, we also have leisure upskilling and also self-development programs such as today's session when you can sign up. And some of our past events are career fairs, HR dialogue sessions, as well as wellness talks. So you can keep in touch with us and follow us on social media for the latest updates and events to maximize your membership usage. So now I will hand over the time to Professor Bawani to begin his sharing session proper. Okay, over to you, Professor.
Thank you. Sean, can you see the slide?
Yeah, yes, you can see.
Okay, very good afternoon to, also good evening. This is the first time I'm doing a webinar in the evening. Usually is, we conduct this session typically, in the afternoon or in the morning during working hours. So as a special request made by BFSU, and I agreed to do it in the evening because most of you, I suppose, just just finish wrapping up the day and starting to wind down. And I thought it's good to have spent an hour of learning part of the professional and self-development. So I just want to welcome all of you to this webinar on influence with the authority. Is one of my favorite topic, and the topic has been chosen by BFSU to help you to be able to leverage on your personal power, which I will explain later, on how to influence your colleague, your peers, your bosses, and people usually that you work on a day-to-day that you may not have a direct supervisory responsibility or control or power over them. So I'll talk about that. So the topic is very wide, influence with the authority, and is a topic that's used globally. It's been offered in Harvard Business School, in Harvard Business Extension as executive education. You look at INSEAD, you type this topic, you will find that many of the executive education training institutions will have this program. Because as we move into a world where into what we call the virtual, the boundaryless, into a network economy, especially today when we have colleagues in banks, where you have institution branches, where you may not meet them face to face, or you may have worked on project teams, or you may be involved with international, regional, projects where you will have to work with colleagues who are your peers, or whom you do not usually have direct, interaction or direct control. So therefore, you need to influence them. So this is the topic that would be of interest to those of you, whether you have a direct responsibility with your direct report, or you do not have. So now you can be individual contributor, or you can be someone who have direct report, and you have to work with your peers or with other departments or stakeholders. When we talk about influence, so what I like to do is to share with you something. When I travel around the world, when I do my role, as a facilitator, as an executive coach over the last 30 years, talking to a lot of managers worldwide as I help my clients, coach my senior executive managers, high potential leaders. One of the common questions that I always ask, or I hear people say, to be able to have influence, to be able to have an impact, you need to be able to have power over them, or you need to have authority. Otherwise, I don't have any influence. So is that really so? Because if you look at some of the bosses, some of the leaders that you have worked over the years, you probably will see that although they have the authority, they hold titles of director or managing director or CEO, vice president, or senior vice president, or even executive vice president, COO, CTO, CMO, all the big name, all the C-suite leaders, but still they're not able to influence people to do what they want people to do. So does title really matters? So these are the things that we need to think about. So when we talk about influence, usually people tend to connote or to relate it, to authority or power. So you can influence, and today I'm going to share with you can influence anyone. It can be your big bosses, it can be your key customers, stakeholders, people who you do not have any control, people who you have not met even, or you're meeting for the first time, or you are in a presentation, in a board presentation, or you are in a meeting with your other stakeholders. You still can influence. You still can create an impact. That's important, and without authority, without power. So if you look at the definition, so let me start very quickly, but I want to spend more time on, for us to have Q&A. So very quickly, the definition of authority and influence, we need to be very clear. Yeah? So authority usually is granted. You've been given, you've been given certain, because of your appointment, a formal position that you assume, a role, a title. You can make decisions, you can give orders, you give instructions, you can enforce policy, so that is authority. You have a sense of power over others. Whereas influence is earned, and influence is something that we can develop, and is what I call the capacity for us to shape, influence, impact, mold the opinion of others, the action. So I use the word SGM, shape, guide, and influence somebody else thinking, way of thinking, the way they, the actions that you want them to take. So you can control them. You can create an impact. The question is how. So you can influence with authority. And I will share with you some tips, techniques, or strategies, and how do you do that. So the next term that we need to be very aware when we talk about power, authority and influence, can you influence with authority? Is need to understand power. And power, if you look at power, it has different connotation, different understanding. And, we can talk about reference, talk about coercive power, but I want to make it very simple. I use the word positional power and personal power. Now, what do I mean by that? Positional power, it can be defined simply as the power that leaders or anyone, individual, managers or staff or employee, can be anyone who gain through the titles that have been bestowed upon them or the authority been formally granted to them, or for the rule, the structures, systems, policy of an organization or institution where you then have to follow. If you fail to follow that, then you'll be penalized. So that is, the way things are, whether the position of power of a police officer or a judge or a government, agency, enforcement officer and so forth. So those power come with a what we call a punitive measures, or they can penalize you if you don't follow, because that is authority that's been granted to the individual. Which many people do not talk about, what we call the personalized power, or the personal power. And people sometimes, you follow, look at people around you, look at just reflect over the last many years, you work with many bosses, leaders that you work with, ask yourself this question, do any one of them that you come across or you have worked before that you feel inspired, you feel that you want to do it, and you do it not because you have to do it, because you want to do it, because you feel inspired, you feel motivated, you feel so engaged that, okay, I'll do my best, I will do everything possible to help the person, or I want to help you, I want to support you. So that is called the personalized power, and that is where a person uses emotional and social intelligence. When a person uses the ability to form alliances, relationship in a very informal manner. So sometimes if you look at in organization, in many organizations today, it's quite common to be able to see even in union, you may have, of course, even certain person, or even in a bank, any bank, you look at some of your colleagues, where you have the managers, supervisors, you have certain title, but there are people who are your peers who may have greater influence over you and your other colleagues, because the way they talk, the way they communicate, the way they charm their way, the way they inspire, the way they create a trust, environment. So these are what we call the personalized power. And I'll talk about that important. Yeah. Can we mute everyone else, Shen, so that there's no background or disturbance? Okay, so let's talk about the workplace in a bank. I work with, over the years, last 30 years, I've worked with DBS, OCBC, ANZ, Citibank, Stanchart, many banks globally, Morgan Stanley, some investment banking, some wholesale bank, corporate banking. And one of the things that, I've seen people working and coaching some of the managers. There some are good at that, they're natural. They are born, they can talk, they can influence people because the way they communicate. You look at some of our leaders that whether be it, political leaders, or in your church, or in your religious organization, or a non-profit, or in your community, and you find some people, they just very at ease, they can influence you because they can have a positive impact. They have an impact and influence you to do things that you want them to do, that they want you to do, without telling you, without directing you, but they charm their way through. Sometimes they use that personalized power. And it's important at the workplace because you need to demonstrate this, because people want to see people who are authentic leaders, people who are able to create that environment where, all the others colleagues can come together, work together, and you may feel very comfortable and you are engaged and you give your best. So it's important to develop influence. And this does not necessarily be a manager or supervisor, but it can be individual. And I will tell you one example. There are many examples along the way. I'll tell you one example. About a few weeks ago, I was doing a workshop, virtual workshop, and I had one of the IT, this is in Malaysia, setting up, and the IT person was trying to set it up and trying to get things, going. There was some technical problem. but then you have one of the senior leader, very senior director, very senior level, who was attending my session, was not happy because there's hiccup on technical on their side, and he was just shouting, and was just it was closed door, about 20 senior leaders, were just shouting at this poor guy, an IT guy, and oh, you should be prepared. You should have done this. Don't make prof wait. It was making so much noise. After then, the CEO was there. CEO saying, "Okay, no, it's okay. It's fine. Do what you need to do. Get back. It's okay. Prof can understand." The CEO was very understanding and make this young IT guy relax. Okay, no problem. Do your best. Get someone else if you think you need help. Get somebody else coming here. Set it up. It's okay. He was observing this young guy was very tense. Was very sense of fear in him. So he responded. The CEO came in, telling the other senior director, "It's okay, let this guy get it sorted out. It's okay, no problem." And of course, the CEO apologized to me for waiting. He said, "It's fine, it's no problem." So this is a simple example. It just happened recently, and that you have this. Both are senior leaders. Of course, the CEO is the big boss, but he's able to calm the situation. He's able to use his influence, his emotional intelligence, the way he smiled, the way he, tell the young IT guy, and that guy just, being reassured. Okay, the big boss is fine, so let me go and do. And he feels motivated. So I think the real influence at work is your personalized power. And the personalized power comes from your social intelligence, how you create an atmosphere of trust. And people need to be comfortable with you. People need to be reassured that that you value them. In Harvard Business Review in 2012, two authors, Chris Musselwhite and Tammy Flew, came up with these 5 influencing styles. So all of us can use. I mean, this applies to everyone. It can be a frontline, clerical, frontline staff. It can be administrative, back end, middle office, or it doesn't matter. Anywhere, you can use these 5 styles depending on the situation to influence the stakeholders. The first one that is often misunderstood is called asserting style. Here is where you insist my way is the best way. My way is all about me, about I. But and I'll explain later about the technique. Don't misunderstand this with the aggressiveness. Assertiveness is fine, but not aggressiveness. So now assertiveness is how do you put your point across to the other party without verbally assaulting or verbally confronting the other party in a very forceful way. So assertive is putting your point across. You want your ideas to be heard. You want to challenge people respectfully. There's a mutual respect. So it's a technique. Assertiveness is knowing when to say no, when to be able to communicate your point across very clearly, and to influence the other party to accept your point of view. It's a technique that can be trained. You can go for courses, no problem. The second one is about convincing others, where you put across your point of view, logical, structure, data, evidence to support your point of view. Again, be mindful. Yes, depending on the situation, depending on the problem on hand, or depending on the issue being discussed, sometimes you need to have that. And you're talking about numbers, talking about cost. Issues where depend on the person as well. So a lot of time when you look at this 5 style, it's also got to do with the person's personality. Then number 3, negotiating. So how do you look for compromises? How do you look for concessions? You giving now. Okay, I'm giving to you now. I understand that you need more than me right now. You need these resources. But next time when I'm in the same position, I hope you understand and you will support me. And you have that mutual understanding, and you try to negotiate through a win-win outcome. And this is very commonly used, and depending also on the organization, the culture, and whether the rules allow it. Sometimes we're not able to negotiate. If in banks, for example, if it's compliance issue, MAS is very strict. There's certain guidelines you cannot. You're talking about or risk management. Risk. Potential risk issue. So depending on the situation, the issue, you may have to use different style. Number 4 is the best, in my view, over the years. What I found, how do you then create this, you bridging, you create the relationship, connect, build that rapport, and through listening. And later I talk about active listening, a technique more important, understanding the other person's situation, have empathy or empathetic listening, and then build coalition, build a network of people who can support you across the organization, so that when you need them, they will be there behind you to support your views, your ideas in meetings or in any initiative that you undertake. And lastly, it's a bit tougher, depending on years' experience, to be inspiring when you have a charisma. You know, when you have executive presence, when you walk in the room, some people, you walk in the room, you simply get excited. Oh, wow, look at this guy, the way he dressed, the way he talked, the way he sway himself. You know, you just feel inspired, because this is not easy, but through years. And some people are more natural at it because they've been doing it for a long time. Some people find it difficult because they have to get their guts out, they have to stand up, and they have to be recognized, they have to be, it takes practice, to develop that executive presence. And you must be able to communicate, and you must have a sense of purpose and values. People look at you, wow, okay, this guy stands for this. Okay, I look at this, like for example, you want to, Obama is very inspiring. Look at Obama, the way authentic leadership. We talk about Trump, and people have a certain image. Or look at, President Clinton. Or if you look at Tony Blair, the former, or if you look at leaders, nearer to home, like our late founding Prime Minister Lee Kuan Yew, inspiring style, or some look at the current Prime Minister, or Mr. 𝒂𝒕𝒊𝒂𝒕𝒊𝒐𝒏, our second Prime Minister. So, and some leaders, like for example, look at Mr. Tharman Shanmugaratnam, our former DPM, now the Senior Minister. He inspires with his eloquence, the way he communicates internationally. So he has a flair. So not everyone can do that, but the thing that the good news is that you can develop the skill, and it takes time. But you must have self-confidence, and I will share some technique in a short while. So how can you do it? Let me just share you some strategies, some tips that has worked for many of my coaching clients, C-suite clients, some training that I do over the years, helping leaders, supervisors, managers, senior leaders, C-suite leaders. There are proven things. Number one, the most important, if you want to influence people, you want to be able to create an impactful, lasting influence on people, you need to be a trusted partner. You need to demonstrate that you are someone that is reliable, someone is dependable, someone that I can go to, who I know will be able to take care, or would have my back, would be able to support me, and when I need them most. So most leaders have this issue. So if you look at many of the leaders today, one of the biggest challenge we have is about authentic partnership with the team, with the team members, even at the board level. There's always this, when I do coaching for C-suite, some of the board members will have issue with the chairman, or issue with the CEO that is supposed to guide the organization. Or even in a department, HOD, for several months, like during the COVID-19, one of the biggest challenge most of my clients called me upon to help them is because of the employee safety. Yeah, employee safety. My book, Leadership During Disruptive Time, was launched. Research on the COVID was in July 30th, was launched in the US. Then subsequently came to Singapore. It's about research about how organization has been able, like Microsoft, organizations like Starbucks, organizations like Marriott Hotel, organizations like DBS Bank, for example. DBS Bank is a wonderful, and the current CEO, Piyush Gupta, I know Piyush from DBS days, from City days, when he took over from Jackson Tai, and I worked with Jackson, then Piyush. You can see the different environment, different how the team, the people respond, even get down the line, the sense of trust, empowerment, the culture. And I wrote that case study in my book. And it is important. Leaders at all levels, and I'm not talking about just the CEO, I'm talking about supervisory. You go to the branches, you go to the DBS bank, the branch managers. Most by and large have seen, it is a sculpture there. So to create this, what we call the trust-based partnership. How do you do that? If you want to be have an impact and influence on your bosses, your team, it's important to be transparent, be true to yourself, be authentic, no matter what. You need to be seen and state your opinion clearly. Disclose your apprehension. If you think you have some reservations, state it clearly. People need to know. No hidden agenda. Yeah, that's number one. But trust is an outcome. Trust depends on three things. Depends on your intention, depends on your relationship with the person, the level of how long do they know you, how deep is your relationship, and of course your communication skills. So I'm going to talk about all three. The only thing that intention is very difficult to talk about, but nobody knows what really you know yourself. Are you authentic enough? Are you, what's your intention in doing something? People always second guess. This is the big problem we have, because they always, it's a saying, you can only judge someone action, not the intention. In other words, you wanted to do something good for the team, you wanted to do something good for the organization, you wanted something good for your customers, but unfortunately, the way you communicate, the way you come across, is not being well received. So this is important. So trust is an outcome of your good intention, plus your actions, your the way you communicate, and the way you make the effort to enhance and develop the relationship. The second point is to develop key relationships. Here is you need to know who. They used to, when I was training salespeople, one of the things that they always tell me, in knowledge management driven back in the early 90s, we call it the knowledge economy. It's important to know, people need to know, what you have, what you know, right? Your knowledge, your experience, your track record. It's important. But what is more important is knowing who should know what you know. In other words, not just knowing what you know, but who should know. It matters. The people that should know, the people that you need to develop the key relationship to influence them. So you need to understand there's some informal and formal relationship, what you call structure, even at the back end operations in certain organizations, the informal, your peers, I work in some, for example, one of the organizations I work is Toyota over the years, Hitachi, where they're, in the manufacturing floor. Sometimes these are all same technical people, same level, but one or two of them would have that, ability to influence others. Because that personal power we talked about earlier, the personal power influencing using the emotional, social intelligence, very important. So you need to know. So you need to know the organization, who your stakeholders are, who are these people. You need to be impactful. You need to demonstrate, pay attention, because they are the one who can make the decision, who can support your proposals, your projects, and so forth. And third is about communication, I mentioned earlier. So if you have good intention, you build the right relationship, then you need to show that you really authentically care for the person. You need to show that you're listening. Active listening is very important. It's not just listening. So you have 4 levels, Stephen Covey talked about 4 levels. Level 1 is you hear. Yeah, I hear you. Okay, they always say, I hear you. Level 2, you listen. Yeah, I listen. Yeah, I listen. I know what you're saying. Level 3 is you listen and you understand the rationale, the moral, what is the underlying objective, and why the person is saying what they are saying. You empathize with the person. And of course, the level 4, the active listening, is where you listen and you respond in the manner that the other party really expect. So to be at level 4 is really you to be paying a lot of attention, not only the word, the non-verbal, look at the body language. So you need to start. And good news, all this can be developed. You can learn for courses, use your UTEP, funding, and you take a lot. Learning Hub has a lot of courses, or many other e-learning courses out there that you can, take advantage of. Skills Future, so many courses on all this. I'm talking about emotional intelligence, relationship management, be authentic, non-verbal listening. There are many courses you can take. So number 4 is what I talked about earlier. So one of the techniques that I always ask people, be aware what is assertiveness, what is aggressiveness. So if I have 1 to 10, okay, 1 to 10. So if 1 is actually what we call passive, Sometimes you use a bochap attitude. You don't care. Okay, let it be aggressive. Then you have the 10 from, you have what called aggressive into your face. It's a verbal assault. Sometimes you have what we call, putting yourself in the face of people, and people get very frustrated. And you come so close that sometimes people feel threatened. Then you have 5, between 1 to 10, you have 5, we call assertiveness. Assertiveness is defined simply as ability to put across your point of view without making the other person feel threatened. In other words, how do I put across my view with the other party to get them to accept and understand me so we can work out a win-win solution? This is a challenge. Because if it's a scale, remember 1 to 10. So you 5 is ideal. But most people who are very aggressive, funny if they're 8 and 9 or even they're 10, they become, how do you become 10? Sometimes because they're being too overconfident, over, over the top. Okay, I've so much, I know what I'm doing. I feel, and I just simply say things, and you just throw your weight around and try to get people to follow you because of your positional authority, or because you are the most senior, you have the technical knowledge, you have the expertise, and so forth. But it's not sustainable. And sometimes people do that, follow you because of short term, but in the long term, you lose them. They are not engaged. So this is something to be mindful. So how do you draw? Let me give you an example. It was a few years back. I was training a group of managers in China, and one of the large pharmaceutical pharma company, where the sales director came in, of course, through experience. He knows, he has a working with the marketing, the finance, all these peers. They're not so all of them report to the same board, the CEO or the MD of that China subsidiary of the US company. And I was observing during the exercises, because it's a workshop, they come together. I was in the Shanghai, so I was listening to them. And one of the challenge I find that the operation guy was trying to push his point of view. Okay, I'm the COO, factory number 2, but they all report to the CEO. But president number 2, so he deputized. He was trying to push. Okay, by personality. Sometimes I try to understand after the workshop in the evening. I try to get to know him. I understand his style. But his personality is very, very aggressive. He's very dominant. So it's about the way he's been hardwired, and his lack of self-awareness. Sometimes we all need feedback. All of us, irrespective of whatever level, you can be the greatest, you can be the greatest prime minister. You still need feedback because we all have blind spots. Yeah. And one of the best person to give you feedback is your teenager. Between age of 12 to 18, that age group is because they're very authentic. They will tell you, because whatever they say, how upset you are with what they say, you still love them. They know you will still love them at the end of the day, so they will tell you, and you must be prepared to accept. So feedback is very important from your colleague, from your family, your spouse. But don't ask your mother. Most parents will be very kind. Most mother, they're very kind. They wouldn't want to tell you really, even you're terrible at doing something. They will still love you. They still want to protect you. That's mother instinct. So be careful who you ask for feedback. And feedback is very important. You need to do it regularly to help you to improve and develop. And the last one is about keep an open mind, being flexible. Even though you're very strong, you have an opinion about something when you're in a meeting, you want to present your point across. What is important is that you must be able to show, okay, well, yeah, I know that I have the facts to support me. I know I'm right. But let me hear you out. Okay, what's your point of view? What are you trying to communicate? To do that, you need to listen, earlier I talked about, and you need to have empathy. So you call it empathetic listening. So what is empathetic listening? Meaning that you're listening to the other party by suspending judgment. You're not making any judgment about the other person. You're focusing on the issue, not the person. You may not like the person. You may not, that person may be your enemy. From day one, you join the organization you don't like. And we're all human beings. Sometimes we like some people, sometimes we don't like some people, just because our personality, or sometimes we just do not hit it right, don't have chemistry. But having said that, but to be a truly a valued colleague or employee or leader, okay, we need to suspend judgment. My advice always, listen, focus on the issue, not the person, and let the person uh, give you their perspective, and you just have to uh, listen empathetically and ask questions if you need to clarify the position. And sometimes you need to negotiate. Yes, because you know that person may need more resources from you right now, but and then you work for the organization. As long as the overall objective is to serve the organization, there's no personal agenda. Even the other person may be competing with you for resources, and you know they need much more greater support now for their project to be able to help the organization. So you have that you must have that mindset, the open mindset, the growth mindset, the positive mindset. The look, I will support you. Maybe by the very mind, next time when I have my project, when I need, I hope you will reciprocate. So these are the five. There are many, but these are the five common. I look at different resources, different books I read over the years. When I coach leaders, I observe some of them. I learn from my participant, my coachee, people that I coach, the CEO that I help. When I train them, I coach them. My students, my MBA students, postgraduate. Sometimes I learn the way they do things in different culture, different ways, different personality, different approaches. So you must have that learning mindset, to develop. So what I did, because we only have about 40 minutes or so, because and we're going to have Q&A in a short while, but I try to put up some resource. I will give you the slide through BFSU. These are the link you can go in. Books. Alan Cohen and David Bradford's book is very good. And there's another simple book, 𝒔𝒐𝒊𝒂𝒕𝒊𝒐𝒏 Leading with Authority. It's more for leaders with the authority when you manage a project group. The first one is for everyone, including the authority. Then the third one is interesting. It's about Harvard Business Review published a guide. And the good thing is that you look at some of the examples, very good. How do you manage your boss? How do you manage your boss? And nothing wrong with managing your boss. How do you influence your boss to agree to your suggestions? How do you manage across your peers? It's a very good book, ebook. It's an ebook in 2013. Number 4 is the article I mentioned earlier, the Harvard Business Review. What's the influencing style? There's some questions there. You can go in and go to the article and identify your preferred style or your dominant style. Number 5 is interesting. So in 2015, Harvard Business Review conduct a webinar. And last night because I prepared this about 4 weeks ago, but last night I checked it out. I was happy that they still make it available because of COVID, to make it available for people to free. So you can go in there and watch the video there. There's a summary of some of the techniques and how do you, managing your boss, how do you influence your boss, how your peers, your direct report, or up means your boss, across your peers, down means your direct report. So there are a lot of techniques, and it's a very good webinar where you can see, of course, mostly our US context, but the principles are the same. You can learn and adapt and apply them. Number 6 is from Singapore, the e-learning program by My Skills Future. Of course, you can go to Learning Hub. Learning Hub, there are many other programs, but because you're UTAP, so you may want to use that, the grant and all that. So Learning Hub, you can go use some of the program there. They may not have a similar title, but they have communication, you have negotiation, you have influence, listening skills, those sort of things, similar. These are skills. You can attend building blocks. Then the other one is e-learning with Singapore company, very simple, very reasonably quite cheap. It's called Influence the Authority. I went in, tried it before. You may want to do that. Again, I'm not sure whether, I think you can use the skills feature, I'm not sure, but you can check it out. And lastly, for me, I'm giving away free articles of leadership. Most of my articles are published online, and I put it up for my students worldwide. I'm a professor with Paris Graduate School and the IP Management School in Paris and London campus. So, and I give it free to all my students, my client, and you can go in there to the resource there, ce-global.com/online articles, online-article. You can download, click online, read on your PDA, on your tablet, whatever. My books are available also, and the books, of course, there's a publisher, in US, they charge, but it's very nominal. You can go to Amazon, you get my book. And National Library. The good news, a month ago, more than a month, December, it's about coming 2 months. In December, the National Library has acquired a lot of several of my titles, book Leadership in Disruptive Time in National Library. You can go online and book online. The Transforming the Next Generation Leaders in Industry 4.0, the Workforce 4.0. What does it mean? How do you lead a digital workforce? My book was 2019, also available in National Library, all the library, or most of the library, not the big one. You can go online and check it out on library. So these are some resources you can get. And before I open to Q&A, hand over to Sharon, I want to quote you this guy. Ken Blanchard is the author of the 1 Minute Manager. Very reputable, very credible, a leadership expert globally. And he's been talk about managerial leadership and how leaders can be more effective. And I like his quote. And he says that the key to successful leadership today is the influence, not authority, it's influence. And in other words, how you use your position of influence. And leadership here is not just about title, about you are the manager, you're supervisor, you are the director, SVP, VP. No, leadership can also be self-leadership. Self-leadership is the personal power. I mean, how do I inspire people to be able to get to do what I want them to do through influencing them? So that is your self-leadership. And to do that, you need to develop your emotional, social intelligence, your executive presence, your ability to listen, be authentic self, and so forth. So there are many books by Ken Blanchard. You can go in and get one of them is called 1 Minute Manager. It's very interesting, and there are many other articles. You can Google, you can get under Ken Blanchard. With that note, you can take a screenshot while waiting for the slide to be made available. If you want, you can contact BSFU or contact me directly. If you have your HR colleague, you can take a screenshot of this, the program directory. There you get all the social media, you can connect with me. The last one is the program directory, all the supervisory, managerial, leadership, all the 3 levels, the frontline supervisor, middle manager, senior leadership, all the titles, about hundreds of titles, all are available under the last one, ce-global.com program directory. Have a look, anything you like, just let me know. And I hope it's been useful. So I want to reserve some time for Q&A. So I will hand over now for the dialogue back to Sean. Yeah. Okay, you ask question, put in your chat group. Over to you, Sean.
Okay, thank you, Professor Bawani, for interesting sharing. So are there any questions that the audience would like to ask? You may unmute yourself to speak, or you may also type your question in the chat box.
You can ask question on your video, of course, your mic most important. So you know who you are talking, if you feel so shy, put it in your chat group. It's fine, but I'd rather hear you directly. Yeah. Anyone have submitted any earlier question? You may have received, Sean or Karen, you may have some question you received, or even from BFSU, if you have any question, you can ask me. Anything on leadership, doesn't have to be on today's topic. My expertise is on leadership at all levels. So you can ask me anything you want to know. How are we going to prepare for post-pandemic? Last week, I was speaking to SIM, Singapore Institute of Management, alumni, members of SIM. About 3 weeks ago, I was talking to the Chamber of Commerce in Singapore, Indonesia, people from across about preparing for the post-pandemic in the next 6 to 12 months. As everybody go through the vaccination, we achieve herd immunity, officers traveling going to be allowed in such countries. So how do we prepare? How do you create the leadership ready for the post-pandemic? So anything you want to ask, just, you always want to ask about leadership, now's the time. Yeah.
Hello, Professor.
Yeah.
This is Karen. Yeah, can I ask you about, right now we are mostly working from home, right? Because of the pandemic, I think a lot of people. So there's hardly a chance that we can meet each other like in the past in the office. So how can we continue in such a virtual world, continue with our personal influence over colleagues? And this is first question. Another one is like, how do we know that we are on the right path or track in increasing our personal influence without authority.
Okay, so sorry, I mean, the first one you're talking about, I think the second one is easier to, how do you track or measure effectiveness of your influence,
Yeah.
right?
Mm.
That one is very easier. That one you can look at how people respond to you, you can ask for feedback. Hey, you know, am I listening more? Am I engaging people? You know, do you see that I'm more, you know, patient? I'm putting across my points. So those five pointers, you know, so you can ask people that you trust to give you authentic feedback. Yeah, and also
Okay.
see how well receptive people are to your suggestions, you know, kind. So something you can look, hey, you know, over time you can say, oh wow, okay, this guy is more receptive. They, you know, they tend to now listen to me more, or rather, they seem to be supportive of what I do. So this is something that takes time. It takes time, and you can do that.
Voice
Yeah?
actions.
So that is the somebody must be on the train listening to this webinar. Okay, Kai, so there's the second question. What's the first question? So do I answer you? So basically, observe, get feedback from people that you interacted with on a regular basis. You know, then, hey, I need to improve. Be authentic. Hey, I need to improve. You know, help me. Can you tell me? Do you see this? Or if you see something I'm not doing right, can you please highlight to me? Give me some feedback privately. You know. So when you ask people in that way, and your peers, your colleague, you know, your direct report, your bosses, they should help you out, unless they have other agenda. So that's the second question, Kai. So I hope it helps you. So what's the first one you mentioned earlier just now?
It's comparing to pre-pandemic and current the pandemic period. So pre-pandemic, we are mostly working in office. We see each other most of the time, but in the pandemic time, this period, we usually work through like Zoom, all these virtual tools. So how do we continue to maintain or continue to increase our personal influence in this virtual world?
Yeah. So it's about the same, not really 100%, but because you look at the difference between you know, prior to 2020, January 20, or February 2020, before the circuit breaker, and after until now, is that a lot of work is done virtually. A lot of we've already been doing that. Sometimes when you have meeting with colleagues overseas and you do virtual, you have a conference call and all that. So it's not new. But the difference is that you're right, because in the office, you tend to have face-to-face, you interact, you can have, you know, you can see people body language, you know, sometimes you can see how people react. So there's an advantage. Yes, I agree with you. But I think what the key principles still apply, even you're doing virtual call, whether you're doing virtually a conference call, or you're having a meeting, or you're attending training, what is important is that you must listen, especially in, you know, in Zoom or Teams or WebEx, all the different types of virtual conferencing. The problem is, you know, because of the technology, because it's distracting. It's more actually it's more challenging, to be honest. One of the things that I ask people, they find it more challenging to work from home because you have distraction, you know, and you have to be more disciplined. But in terms of interaction with your colleague, you still do that video, right? But most of us, like now I'm looking at that, every one of you, you know, except me and Sean, the rest of you all off your video. So which is quite normal. People don't want to be seen because they may not put in the pairs, you know, all that. So sometimes you can encourage, you know, get to, you know, everybody on the video, the bandwidth, and you can see how the body reaction, body language, people reaction. So in terms of communication, the difference between pre-pandemic and during and post-pandemic, during and post-pandemic, it will be more technology-driven, will be more digital-driven. People will be more digital to communicate, to interact. So we must be prepared. More and more interaction will be virtual. So, but bear in mind, Kai, the way you listen, ask questions, smile, demonstrate social intelligence. You know, sometimes you need to make people feel calm before they start the meeting. Create the atmosphere that, you know, inspiring. It can be. So you look some of the leaders, some of the videos that I'm sure you come across, people can be inspiring. The way they talk, the way they smile, the way they engage you. So you can do that as well. But relatively, it's much more difficult or less impactful, because if you're face to face, it's easier. You can see everything, and then you have other people, colleagues, you know, you can sort of have that chemistry, that dynamic interaction, as opposed to virtually. So I agree, it's challenging, but this is the new normal. This is the way to go. live conferencing, meetings, virtual, going to become a way of life. Many people is going to work either half at home, virtually, or work from anywhere, work from home or work from anywhere, or work from office, or some role where you don't need customer interface, or some role where you do not need to have presence in the office because you don't need to have access resources or infrastructure. You can work from home or anywhere. So Harvard used the word WFA. My book, the 2020 book, I talk about leadership disruptive time. I talk about work from anywhere, not work from home. Work from home is very, restrict to your home. Work from anywhere. You can go to the library, a corner, or you can go to your neighborhood. You can go to Kopitiam or Starbucks, anywhere. Or you can go to. For me, my work from anywhere is when I write my book or when I want to do some crafting or solution. On Saturday at the beach. I love the beach, so I want to go to very quiet, go to somewhere where, even anywhere in the world, when I do training, I take time off in the weekend just to write my report. I think it's how I work from anywhere. Yeah. So Kai, I hope it helps. Yeah. So yeah.
Yep.
So then, yeah. Okay. Anybody else?
Thank you, Prof.
Yeah. Welcome.
Hi,
Go
good
to my
evening,
website.
Professor.
Yeah. Sorry. So Deborah. So Kai, there's a lot of resources. The link I gave you, just have a look at it. The C-Global. Yeah. Online. Yeah. Deborah.
Yeah, I have a screenshot. Thank you.
Okay. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah,
Deborah.
hi.
Yeah.
Okay.
Hi.
Okay. You're talking about listening, right? But
Yeah.
how do you maintain it on a day in, day out? I mean, how do you practice empathetic listening? Sometimes you keep listening, it takes away so much of your time.
Yeah. So you're absolutely right. It's very tiring sometimes. Like my job as a coach, I have to listen all the time. Sometimes for 2 hours, when you have, at the board or when you have senior leaders, they're bickering in there. So I have to listen. And when I listen, I'm looking for signs, personality, how they communicate. And you listen for the non-verbal. Now, what do I mean by that? Not just the word they use. Look at their body language, how they communicate, the way they put their arm, the way their eye shift and all that. So the non-verbal, research have shown is up to 76% communication is through non-verbal. The way they dress, the way they communicate through their how they sit, how they put across, the way they sit, and so forth. How they stand when they're in a social environment. So listening is tough, yes. Listening, especially if you are not the personality. Some personality, like if you are amiable, because all of us we're hardwired. Some people are very. There's one tool you may want to look at. It's called DISC. DISC is a very simple tool. Some people are D is dominant. I is very influential. People dominant is do it my way or the highway. I is influential. People like very colorful, very friendly, amiable. Then you have S is steady, very calm, very steady. They listen, but that's natural. They are very good at that. A lot of them are psychologists, psychiatrists, doctors. They are coaches, consultants. They listen very well. Then you have the C compliance, or people who are by the book, everything they listen, but everything my way, or the company way. Black is black, white is white. There's no gray. They can follow the rule. So sometimes you need to understand the personality. So when you listening basically you need to know the three things you need to do. Listening basically you need to know yourself. Do I listen well? Do I have the skill? Am I patient enough? So you need to have a self-awareness. Number two, once you know who you are, what is your limitation, your strength, the next thing is, do I want to do it? Do I have the desire to do it? That's the authenticity part, the willingness to do it. Some people, they're not good listeners, but they say, oh, I don't care. I don't want to learn. Who cares? I'm the boss, what? I'm the boss, I'm the manager. They have to listen to me. No, I listen to them. So leaders is about listening. If you are the leaders, if people reporting to you, you need to listen to them, to engage them, to inspire, especially the Gen Y, those born between 1980 to 1994, and Gen Z, those born in 95 until 2010. So those group, and they want you to listen, they want you to be their coach, they want you to inspire them. As opposed to those born in the 40s, 50s, 60s, like myself, where we are more take instruction, So it's okay, boss, we just whatever boss says goes. So it doesn't work that way. So you want to engage people, you make the effort. Devaraj, I know it's difficult. Especially you're not used to it, It's not a personal. So you need to make that conscious effort to step back and then ask for help. Go for training, practice in the mirror. I ask for feedback. Hey, if I talk too much, I ask sometimes when I was in my younger day, I asked my son, my wife, my sister, my mother. Of course, my mother always tell me nicely, no, son, you're okay. No problem. I love you. I mean, you're good. Just be yourself, lah. No problem. But my sister, one of them would tell me, my son, when they were teenagers, they would tell me, Dad, you talk too much, or because you're a trainer, you something at home, so you like to lecture us. You're a professor. So sometimes it hit me. Oh yeah, I forgot I have to adjust. So we all need some form of this balance, this feedback, as I said, to be aware. So if you don't have the self-awareness, 𝑑𝒓𝒐𝒏𝒔, that is the problem. Then you need to ask for help. Ask for help. Yes, I'm willing to do. Then the last one, make it happen. You know where your limitations are, your gaps. You ask for help. You're willing to do it. Then next one is do it. Not only willing to do it. Yeah, okay, I would do. Doing it. Say, oh yeah, boss, I will do it. But after that, I'm so busy. There are a lot of things come about. In the bank, especially work so late. I haven't got time to do this. Forget it, lah. This. Then what do you do? Whatever you committed to do, you just put it aside. All right. So it means you do not follow up. So knowing what you need to do, the gap, then you follow through, go for the training, then practice, and continue to ask for help. Right. And once you do that as a regular, it becomes habit. Okay, so when you become habit, and Aristotle says that excellence is a result of doing something again and again. Habit. When you do something again and again and again, you practice doing the right thing, you become a state of excellence, and you become good. Right? But you have to maintain it. Yeah, like a saw, a knife. You need to sharpen once in a while. So go for regular training, update, and so forth. So I hope it helped, 𝑑𝒓𝒐𝒏𝒔.
Yeah, definitely great.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Welcome. Is there anybody else? Any question?
Okay. Hi, Prof. Due to time constraint, right, we actually have 3 more questions. Maybe you can pick one question to answer. Is in the group. Is in the chat box.
Oh, chat box. Okay, give me a minute.
Yes.
Okay. Wait a minute. Let me see. I cannot see the chat box. Okay,
Maybe you can stop sharing and.
Okay. Sorry. Yeah. You're right.
And then you can see the chat box.
Okay. I can answer all very quickly. So I think Kavina asks, how do you advise we influence people who may tend to be more reactive, combative? Yeah. So that's Kavina. So that is where I talk about how do you flex your communication style, adapt. So you need to use look out for this online. Just Google DISC. How do you flex? You need to know your styles first. I mentioned 𝑑𝒓𝒐𝒏𝒔. Know your style, know your weaknesses, know how you communicate, then know the other person. And it's very simple, DISC. And then you can just flex and adapt. So that's one. So you need to, if they're combative, they're very tough, okay. Show authenticity, influence them. Okay. So you can go look at DISC. If you need help, come to me. I will give you the resources. Okay. Shireen asking, hi, Prophet, how are you able to advise how do we influence colleagues who end up in hard selling without hard selling? This is what I talk about, Shireen. You need to listen, show authenticity, that you do care, that you have empathy, that you. And I'm sure all of you want what's best for your organization, in this case, BFSU or your bank. But question is, they need to see you, need to understand that you're authentic. And how do you see you're authentic? Your intention all are the same. You need to show you care, concern, you do things in the best interest of the organization. So empathy, listening, and try to be consistent. Consistent, do the same. Not one day you become empathetic, the next day you become people say, oh, what's wrong with this, like a chameleon, One day you're very different and you're moody and you throw tantrum. So be consistent, okay? So that's very important, Shireen. So be consistent, listen, adapt, and be authentic. Now, Kangsheng's what is one tip or habit we can start doing for tomorrow, practice influencing others? Okay, one tip that now we can do it is try to exercise self-restraint. And if you are someone who like to talk all the time, it's okay, because some of us have personality. You are, like to be in the center of everything. It's a personality. So try to restrain. We call it self-restraint, and try to let other people talk and ask for feedback. And listen. And today, the whole world, people do not listen. If the whole world were to listen to each other, we wouldn't have so much problem in the world. So we need to put our needs second, and our peer, our colleague first. So be authentic, be able to listen, empathy. Remember, it's a win-win. Not only about you, it's about everybody else. And show that you're sincere through your actions, your word, your communication. People will see you. People will know. Okay, but it must be consistent over the time. So this is what I would advise, Kamsheng, that you do it to listening at home, ask for your wife, and ask for feedback. One last thing, ask for regular feedback. How are you doing? And adopt a growth mindset. What is a growth? Carol Dweck talk about growth mindset means learn, unlearn, relearn. This is called learning agility. Learn, unlearn, relearn. Whatever you learn in your banking, even technical skills 10, 20 years ago will become irrelevant. So get rid of those old things. The old thing doesn't work. Learn new things and continue to relearn. Learn, unlearn, relearn. Learn, unlearn, relearn. If you do that continuously, you become a person with learning agility, which is very important in the industry 4.0, in the digital-driven world, in the post-pandemic. Agility is very important. Learning agility to learn new skill, upskill, reskill. It's very important, and that is the hallmark of a great leader, great individual, great professional, because you need to continue to learn. I myself, every single day, I read and learn, even how busy, must take some time, and on weekend. Okay, I think I've answered all the questions. I'm looking at the chat box. So if, again, there's a link there, Shen, very kind, put the link there. See, there's online article. There are a lot of articles there. How to mentor, how to manage your boss, how to listen, how to coach, how to communicate. There are many things inside there. You just go and download. And you got my contact detail. I will share the PowerPoint slide with BFSU. I think they will send to you if you want. But only if you want it. I don't want to flood, to flood your mailbox. Okay. If there's no more question, I want to say a word of thanks to Sean from BFSU and to the whole team. Thank you for this opportunity, and also to Mr. Patrick Tay, who's Patrick is the advisor, or how is the Secretary General of your union? Is it, Sean?
Yeah, he's the executive secretary. As a
secretary, yes. Yeah. He's a good friend. He just messaged me. He cannot make it. So thanks to him and to the union. And I love to share. If you're organized, my last word is, let me know if you want to do something similar for your bank, for your organization, either through BFSU or direct to me. You can Google me. My contact is there. Contact me or my staff. I would love to do something similar for your bank, for your colleague, and to share. And I love to share knowledge and share experience. With that note, it's already 20:07. I want to say thank you so much. Thanks for the question. I wish you the best. Good luck. Learn, unlearn, relearn. Remember that, and continue, grow. Have the growth mindset. Thank you so much. Over to you, Sean.
Okay. Thank you, Professor Bawani, for interesting and insightful sharing. So may I now request all of you to switch on your camera so that we can take a group photo?
No, that's interesting. Yeah, okay, that's wonderful. Yeah, on all your videos, except even you're in MRTs. Okay, yeah, there's Lantika. I heard you just now. You're in MRT.
Okay.
Kamsheng, yes. Doreen.
Okay. 1, 2, 3.
Got it?
Yep. Okay. So, thank you everyone for spending your evening with us. Okay, we have come to the end of today's sharing session. So do connect with us on our Facebook page to keep yourself updated with all our new updates and also upcoming events. Okay, thank you once again and have a great evening ahead.
Okay, good evening. Have a great dinner. Okay, bye-bye. See you all again. See you on social media, LinkedIn. Okay, bye-bye.